Good day, dear all. Today, in this video, as a part of human resource management, we will be looking into what do you mean by selection and the process of selection followed by in any organization, irrespective of the nature of the business that the organization is carrying out. So, before we try and understand what do you mean by selection and the process of selection, let us quickly go through the meaning of selection, how selection is different from that of recruitment, followed by the process of selection. So before we pitch in, we will quickly move on to what do you mean by selection. The first and foremost thing that any student or any people must understand is that the word selection and recruitment are not the same, wherein both are having different meanings and different arguments. So before we start the process of selection, we will try and understand what do you mean by selection, followed by the difference between selection and recruitment. So whenever we talk about selection in case of human resource management, it is a process that is followed after recruitment that is followed in any organization or any nature of business. Now, selection is the process where a particular applicant's resume or a curriculum vitae is being reviewed and the manager turns to select the best candidate for the job that he or she is being applied for or the job that is being vacant. So selection is the process that is followed by recruitment. In recruitment, what do? You just stimulate people to apply for a particular job, but you don't try to filter out the candidates and then select them for a particular interview process. Wherein selection is the next process after recruitment, where you review the applications that have been received for a particular post that is vacant in an organization, match with the job description that the organization has, and then call them for an interview. So selection involves a series of steps by which the candidates are screened for choosing the most suitable person for the job that is vacant for. Now, the process of selection leads to employment of people who possess the appropriate ability or skill and qualification in order to perform a particular job which has fallen vacant in an organization. So just remember that recruitment is something different from that of selection, wherein recruitment is the second most important process of a human resource manager, where he or she tries to stimulate people to apply for a job, and selection is the process that is followed by recruitment, where you try to scrutinize the applications that have been received for the job that is vacant in an organization by following different methods and procedures. So here we will quickly understand what is the major difference between recruitment and selection. So as I told you, recruitment is a process where you give an advertisement either through online or offline, or by using both internal and external sources in order to make people attractive and stimulate them to apply for a particular job. So the process of recruitment stops or closes with making you people or making people apply for the job, wherein selection is a process where they try to pick the correct candidate according to the job nature that they require, depending upon their qualifications, their skills, whatever they have, or the experience that they have. Okay, and the second thing is recruitment involves everything from the identification of a hiring need to filling the application, whereas selection involves choosing the right candidate who have applied for the job from the applications that we have received. Therefore, we say that recruitment is the prior process to selection, whereas selection is followed by recruitment. Now, the majorly the process of recruitment's objective of recruitment is to encourage large number of applications to apply for a post. Therefore, if you don't find any vacancies in organizations, or even if the vacancies are closed, we find these social websites having open advertisements telling that the job is vacant. For example, LinkedIn, you find posts that there is a vacancy for an IT manager or a recruiter, etc. Whereas in selection, it is a process where you try to select the right candidate for the applied job that has been vacant in an organization. Now, we will quickly understand what is the process of selection that is being followed in any organization. The first and foremost process that is being followed, or the step that is being followed in any organization, is preliminary screening. So that is where out of recruitment, I have received, for example, let's say there is two vacancies in my organization wherein I have received about 50 applications through the recruitment process that I have followed. So from the 50 applications, I start filtering out the candidates who have applied for a particular job, maybe depending upon the skills or depending upon the qualifications that I need in order to match the job profile. So that stage is called as preliminary screening. Now, once preliminary screening is done, where I screen out, let's say out of 50 applications, I screen out 30 applications and I'm left with 20 applications. These 20 applications will go to the second process called as selection test. Now, selection test can, many organizations do it online, or some of them also do it offline, where when it comes to college recruitment, these selection tests happen through an aptitude skill where you are asked to, where the employer tries to judge your analytical skills and decision making skills or problem solving skills or whatever skills that they are looking in for in a candidate who is getting recruited. So that process is called a selection test, where we will have to clear the selection test in order to move on to the third stage called employment interview. So in case of employment interview, which is also called as an HR round or an HR interview, you try to get into a personal contact with your HR, where you may have a one-on-one face-to-face meetings, or you may have a panel discussion with the HRs, or you may have an online interview through Skype or any other social media websites, where the HR will talk to you, will address to you on what are their requirements and what are your jobs and responsibilities, roles and responsibilities in the organization, and how far or what is your perspective of career growth within the organization will be discussed in case of an employment interview. So once you're done with an employment interview, it means that almost you are selected for the particular job that they are looking for. Followed by the employment interview, we have reference and background checks, which happens in majority of the job profiles, especially in case of central government, state governments, or people working into aviation sectors, where you'll have to give them a reference or a background check, where they will call the particular person and ask them, what are your traits or what are your qualifications? Are you knowing this person for a longer period of time? How far do you know them? What are they known for? All these references will be done in order to check the genuine things that you have written in your particular resume or curriculum vitae. Or in other cases, for example, let's say you want to work for an airport, and you attend an interview, there is a list of background check that happens, where they also approach the nearest police station, give your details to the nearest police station, and also find out whether all the documents are clear from your point of view, and there are no any case proceedings against you, or there is no case booked against you, etc. So all these are called as references and background checks, which are important in the present job requirements. And all companies don't follow background checks, but they do have references in case if you give a reference in your resume or curriculum vitae. But background checks are happening in very few cases of jobs. So once the reference and background check is done, then we move on to the selection decision. That is, let's say for example, out of 20, 10 of you are shortlisted. In that 10 of you, let's say 5 of you were removed because of reference and background check, and we are left with 5 candidates. Out of the 5 candidates, the selection decision will happen wherein the top level executives sitting together, or the top level managers sitting together, have a discussion on whom they could recruit out of this 5 that have been shortlisted. And after selection decision, next thing or the next process is medical examination. Again, as I told you, medical examination is not looked in for each and every kind of job vacancies that come in an organization, but medical examinations are required for specific kind of jobs. As I told you, for example, let's take you want to work in an airport, then they will ask you a medical examination to be done, where the basic medical tests like diabetics, cholesterol, your ECG levels, all these basic medical examinations will be required to be done. So once you clear with the medical examination, or in other case, if you want to get recruited into airport, military, or any other defense sector, a medical examination is said to be a must, which is to be verified by a medical examiner. So once you clear the medical examination, and then the company human resource manager provides you the offer letter, where the offer letter tells you the policies, terms, and procedures of your appointment. What would be your take home salary? What would be your gross? What would be your net? What kind of perquisites the company is paying you? What is your notice period? How many kinds of leave the organization provides you? What are the conditions under which your leave can be availed? What is the procedure that you will have to follow? Who is your reporting manager, etc. All these things will be discussed when they are providing you the offer letter. Now, once you receive the offer letter, the last and the final procedure of the selection process is to have a contract of employment, where you receive the offer letter and agree to work in the organization as an employee for a particular stipulated period of time. Or if there is no agreement as such, that is, the minimum duration is not there, then you work for the organization. If you find a career development, we still further continue in the company. Otherwise, we stop the contract of employment. So contract of employment again rarely happens in case of appointing a particular person. In case when we require a contract, let's say I recruit you only for 1 year or 2 years, etc., then a contract of employment is required. Otherwise, the last process of selection would be providing you the offer letter. So followed by the selection process, as we have seen in our earlier videos, after selection, the human resource manager takes in place, where you will be called for an orientation or an induction program, where you try to understand how the process of the company works. Okay, so hopefully by this video we have learned what do you mean by selection, what is the basic difference between selection and recruitment, and what is the selection process followed in an organization. So thank you all for your valuable time. See you all in the next video. Thank you.